One of the most important issues in this campaign is ending the nation-wrecking catastrophe on our southern border. There's never been anything like this. Under my leadership, we had the most secure border in U.S. history, acknowledged by everybody. Now we have the worst border probably in the history of the world. There's no place in the world with a border like we have. Millions and millions of people coming in. Under Crooked Joe, lawless mobs of unscreened, unvetted illegal alien migrants are stampeding across our border by the millions and millions, including hordes of criminals, terrorists, human traffickers, child smugglers, gang members, and inmates emptied out of their prisons, insane asylums, and mental institutions. And that sounds bad, but it's actually worse than that. This is an invasion, and I'm the one candidate who, from day one, knows exactly how to stop it. We're going to stop it very quickly. We stop it very quickly. What's happening to us is not sustainable. It's not sustainable by any country. I believe the number is going to be, by the end of the year, 15 million. The real number is 15 million people. That's the size of New York State. A vote for President Trump means Joe Biden's horror show at the southern border ends at noon on Inauguration Day 2025. In 2016, you remember this, I ran on the border wall. That was a big deal. I ran on the border in the unsecure and very unsafe border. And we did so well that by 2020, the election of 2020, nobody even talked about the border. I couldn't bring it up. It was a subject nobody, because we had it down so good that it ceased to become a campaign issue. And now the entire world is saying, once again, that Trump was right. We were so right. And by the way, we did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016, but we didn't talk about the border. Because we did such a good job with the border. Nothing to talk about. If Crooked Joe had simply kept my policies in place, illegal immigration would right now be at just historic lows. We were at a level that nobody had ever seen. That includes drugs, human traffickers, everything else. Now we have the highest amount of drugs ever in history. Again, I think pouring into any country. They're totally unchecked. All we had to do was, and this is all he had to do. Who's advising this guy? All he had to do is go to the beach. He's going to the beach all the time now, right? Every time I turn on, they show him at the beach. He can barely lift the chair. The chair lifts like, it's about a half a pound. Can't lift it. Can't get his feet through the sand. One of his consultants, one of his many consultants says, this is a good look for you. Go to the beach. I think he's probably a Republican, the consultant. But all he had to do is go to the beach, do nothing, and leave the border alone. He'd have historic lows right now. We did a great job. Just think of what we achieved under the Trump administration. I ended the human, economic, and national security calamity known as catch and release, where you catch somebody and release them in the United States, oftentimes criminals. I gave a free hand to our great ICE agents and let them do their jobs. These are brave people. I have friends in the audience. A couple of them are tough people, very tough people, but they're not tough like the ICE people. They go into those nests of MS-13. They go in there swinging. This is not like a normal situation. This is a rough job for my three friends here. They think they're tough guys. You're not going to do it. But they go in there swinging and grab them and put them into the paddy wagons, and we take them out of the country. In the older days with a man named Barack Hussein Obama. Did anybody ever hear of him? Barack Hussein Obama. They wouldn't take them back in these countries where they came from. Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. They wouldn't take them back. They put airplanes on the runways, big airplanes, commercial jets on the runways, so when they'd fly in, they couldn't land. They stopped the buses from bringing them back. And they said to me, sir, we can't get them out. It's impossible. They won't take them back. I said, how much money do we give them as a country? $750 million for the three primary countries where you have the MS-13. $750 million, which is peanuts compared to what we give away to a lot of others, which we're stopping. And we were stopping it fast. But I said, stop payment immediately. So we stopped payment. The following morning, I got a call, all three separately. Sir, I understand there's a misunderstanding with regard to our wonderful gang members from MS-13. We love them very much. What is the problem, sir? I said, well, you know, we give you a lot of money, but you won't take them back for about 7 years, almost 10 years. You're not taking them back. Sir, we would be, absolutely, would be honored to take them back. Please send them our way. We will take them back. We love MS-13 very much. So we started sending them back, and they took them so fast, you have no idea. We still didn't pay them. We held it for a while. Held it as long as possible. We deported a record number of illegal aliens all the way back then, and they had a horrible, horrible situation going, and they announced fraudulent removal numbers, totally fraudulent numbers. We sent home nearly 1 million illegals during my first term, and we will far surpass that number because we have no choice. No country can sustain what's happened to us in the last 3 years. No country can sustain it. Just as I promised, I built nearly 500 miles of border wall. You know, they like to say, oh, it was only 50. No. If there was a little board laying on the ground because there was a wall that was built 60 years ago and it was rotted, just laying on the ground, they'd remove it. They'd say, that was a renovation. That wasn't a new wall. No, no. We built, and it's actually in their stats, and even the Democrat stats, almost 500 miles of wall. And we took it out of the military because Congress was terrible on this issue, terrible. Even certain Republicans like Mitch McConnell. Is he a Republican? No. Isn't he a Democrat? I thought he was a Democrat. He gives them everything they want. I thought he was a Democrat. But, you know, we took that, and because I called it an invasion. I said, this is an invasion of our country. But nobody ever thought they'd see numbers like what you're seeing today. We completely finished our original plan and then built even more wall. Almost 200 miles of additional wall was there, ready to be installed. Could have been done in 3 weeks. And they said, no, we don't want it. We want to have open borders. And a lot of people, including me, thought they were kidding. They weren't kidding. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. Either they are not smart, and I think they have to be smart because anybody that cheats on elections like that can't be stupid, or they want to destroy our country, which is, I think, what they want to do. Where the wall went up, illegal border crossings went way down by an incredible, almost 100%. And when I said Mexico will pay for the wall, they largely did. You know, they like to say, I said Mexico. Well, I called up Mexico. I said, you know, you're letting a lot of people in as we're building the wall, because once the wall goes up, but then they seek, you know, it's like water. They seek an area where there's an opening. But where the wall went up, but I said to Mexico, you have to give us 28,000 soldiers, armed soldiers, because you're letting in people at a level that nobody's ever seen before. No, 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 we won't do that. I said, yes, you will, because if you don't do it, I'm going to put a tariff on everything you sell to us, including the car industry that they stole 32%. And I happen to like the president of Mexico a lot. He's a socialist, but you can't have everything. But I like him. But his representative came and said, we would never do that. The State Department said, sir, they'll never do that. We've been trying for 20 years, sir. I said, that's okay. You'll do it 100%. They said, no, no, they won't do it. I said, I guarantee you they'll do it. I didn't want to make him a bet because a long time ago during a debate, Romney made a bet. Do you remember that? That didn't work out well. Do you remember? He said, I'll bet you $10,000. And then immediately he became known as an elitist. 2 bets, 10,000, right? I would have made him a bet, but I didn't want that to happen to me. But I said to the person, a woman who was very good, but she was dealing with Mexico for 20 years, never got anything. And he came in, the top representative of Mexico. I said, listen, you're going to give us 28,000 soldiers because you're letting a lot of people go through your country. No, no, we cannot do that. I said, yes, you can. And if you don't, we're going to put a 25% tariff on everything, including the millions of cars that you sell into our country every year. He said, sir, I'd like to go and make a phone call. Do you mind? I said, not at all. Call the president, because that's who he was calling. He comes back 5 minutes. Sir, it would be our great honor to supply you with 28,000 soldiers free of charge. And we had great numbers. We had great numbers, and best numbers we've ever had. And, you know, it's just so sad when I see there's so many stories like that with French, with the wine. I said, I'm going to tax your wines. If you do this to us, I'm going to tax your wines and champagne. And they said, oh, you can't do it. And then they said, well, if you're going to tax our wine, are you sure you're going to do that? I said, I'm 100% sure. Here's the legislation. They said, sir, we are not going to do anything to your companies. They're going to tax all of our companies, a massive number. And then I said, I'm going to tax your wine and champagne. As soon as I said that, they said, we would be delighted not to tax your companies. We don't want our companies taxed in France. So I negotiated remain in Mexico, forcing fraudulent asylum seekers to stay in Mexico until we could tell them that their phony asylum claim was denied. Denied. Now, by contrast, in his first 100 days in office, crooked Joe Biden and the radical left Marxists took 94 open border actions. Think of it, 94. He canceled the border wall, ordered a virtual shutdown of ICE, implemented nationwide catch and release. Nobody's ever seen the kind of things he did. They got to hate our country. Ended remain in Mexico. Remember, it used to be remain in the United States and come back in 5 years for your court case. Me, I get a court case in 30 days. Takes them 5 years. Takes them 5 years, come back, and they never show up and nobody cares. They ripped up my asylum bans, terminated my expedited removals under Title 42, which was a big deal. Even the judge said, are you sure you want to do that? And began resettling millions and millions of illegal migrants into our communities at taxpayer expense. Numbers like nobody's ever seen, not just New York, it's all of our cities, but countrysides too. You're being affected. Even here, you're being affected. Biden puts China first, Mexico first, Ukraine first, Canada first, Europe first, Asia first, illegal aliens first, everyone first. But he puts America last, he puts our military last, he puts veterans last, he puts everything that's good and proper to be last. That's what it is. It's called America Last. That's what his program is. And I don't think he understands his program anyway. It's people that surround him that are doing it because he doesn't have a clue. The guy can't put together two sentences. I put America first every single time. Thank you.